This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. We back in the saddle, ladies and gentlemen. It's August. I think the schedule should come out sometime this month, so it's really time to get moving. Tony, what's poppin' with you, my brother? How are you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Most anticipated Knicks season I've ever been, been a part of.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy Knicks season right now that's getting ready to come up. You know what I mean? The biggest since it's got to be this. It's got to be the biggest since the whole 2012, 13 when it's Melo, Jason Kidd, and all of them. It's got to be the biggest since then.
Yeah,
got to be.
But I don't know if I anticipated 2012, 13 at the time. You know what I mean? Coming into the season,
right?
I don't know if I was. You know what I mean? I was just happy for basketball in general.
Yeah.
But with the moves, you know what I mean, with the storylines, with everything, and where we are as a team, come on, like this is
and it's been, man. And it's been like a slow build. You know what I mean? So we've just watched everything build and grow. You know what I mean? Which makes it even more exciting. But today we're gonna talk about. Because obviously Julius Randle is a big part of it. As much as some people just don't want to believe it, don't care, don't want Randle around, all that stuff. He's a big part of the reason why the Knicks are where they are. And he's got one more season under contract. If he picks up his option at the end of this season, it'd be 2 more seasons under contract. Obviously if the Knicks extend him, he's eligible for an extension right now. If the Knicks extend him, then you know what it is. He'd be around for as long as that extension is in place. But of course, there's questions all over the place. Will Julius Randle accept a discount the same way that Jalen Brunson did? And then there's, according to Forbes magazine, the league should be watching Julius Randle and how the Knicks move with Julius Randle, paying attention to it, right? Because of the way the CBA is structured. You know what I mean? So I guess I just, jump right in. Do you think Julius Randle is going to take a discount for the Knicks? He did so already. Like I think you're probably gonna mention he did so a couple years ago. Will he do it again? What do you think?
I mean, the difference between then and now. So then what he did originally, which I haven't heard many podcasters speak on. He did the same thing Brunson did just now, where Brunson is getting all the credit and all the praise for taking less. Essentially, neither one of them took less. They took the most that was available to them at that time, as opposed to waiting a year,
right?
Which you know what I mean, and take and being able to get $100 million more than the contracts they signed for.
Right.
So essentially, right now, if he signs for the 181. He would be doing it again. You know what I mean? So he actually would be taking less right now if he takes that 181. And I think for a majority of the fan base, I think they're asking him, you know what I mean, to take less than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which would literally be leaving money on the table.
Right.
So I'm just trying to clarify the question. Are you asking me, does he take less than the 181, which is his max available to him now, and sign early? Or are you asking me, does he, you know what I mean? Is he good with the 181? Or if he doesn't sign that 181, is he looking for more than that come next year?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Would he take less than the 181?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Would he extend for the 181 now?
I think
Maybe.
so.
He might do that. You know what I'm saying? He might do that. Or, and I'm going to read this article, or would he opt into his contract and then take less than the maximum? That could be possible. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it. You know, with Randle, there's a lot on the table with him coming off surgery. Obviously, listen, he's 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. So he's elevated himself to, I don't know, I guess just below superstar status, if that's what you want to say. But, one of the most productive players in the NBA for the last 4 years. He's been, he's elevated himself to that status. He's part of this entire culture with the Knicks, if not the trendsetter with the Knicks, one of the top trendsetters with the team as far as work ethic, what Tom Thibodeau wants in a player. And even as far as, like you're saying, he opted in, he took an extension and essentially took less money. You know what I mean? So he's been one of the leaders on this team and has helped the team to get to where it is. As much as people don't like him and don't want to admit it, he has. Bottom line, he has. Sorry to all of y'all that don't like the guy, but the truth is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing you can say about that. I'm gonna say this. I guess I'll start with just my opinion. If Julius Randle wants to somehow, some way take less, cool, great. I don't expect him to do so. I didn't expect Jalen Brunson to do so. You know what I'm saying? Because one day they won't be worth the money and the teams aren't going to pay them this exorbitant amount of money because they're not worth it. Teams aren't going to do that. So why would I expect a player to take less for a team? It doesn't make sense to me. It's business on both sides, right? So I would never expect Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson or Bridges or anybody to take less money to help the franchise. Let's say that. To help, not the team, not his basketball team, his group of players, but to help the franchise. I wouldn't expect that to happen because they're not going to do it the same. They're not going to do it to him. As soon as he's not worth that money, they're going to say, no, we're not going to pay you because we got to do what's best for the franchise. So he's got to do what's best for him. You know what I mean? And, given the way it's been publicized of what went down with Jalen Brunson, which is great for the team, great for the franchise, it puts some pressure on Julius Randle. And if Julius Randle doesn't do the same thing right now, people are going to look at him sideways, which I think is wrong because, just like the teams, the franchises want to make money, the players want to make money too. And someone can say, well, they got money, this, that. Well, so do the franchises, right? So do the franchises. They got money too. So, I would not, if he chooses to say, hey, I'm gonna go get my money, I'm riding with that too. That's what he's supposed to do. Just like Melo said that he wouldn't have did what Brunson did, and you got to respect that. Everybody has their own priorities in life,
So where am I going with this? I don't know what article you're referencing. You know what I mean? But I mentioned it last week where I can see it in the realm of possibility where, especially how close-knit, him being back with CAA, right?
Yeah.
Them being so close-knit in kind of like with all the ties, the CAA mafia, etc., where they're sitting down and breaking down with him, the long-term goals for the team along as, how they see him in that structure long term. So if he doesn't opt out and he plays the contract out and then everything gets figured out then, to me, that's not out of the realm of possibility where he doesn't even opt out, like he plays the full contract out. So he's here, no extension now, doesn't opt out next year and plays through 25. Let's see, 24, 25, 25, plays through 25, 26. and then as a free agent, then and then they negotiate moving forward. And then if that's the case, you know what I mean? That gives a 2-year window of us potentially winning the championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he wins, if they win the championship, can you see a round where now they go out and because it seems like they worried about this second apron and taxpayer taxpayer penalties. If they could avoid it for the next 2 years, do you see a way where they do that, potentially win a championship or get closer to it? But then everybody, then Randle gets his extension. The following year, Brunson opts out, gets his extension. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's still in a realm of possibility where it doesn't have to be about next summer, like sign him now or we lose him next summer. He still has the chance of opting in. And I think there's a high chance that he does because of how close-knit everybody is with this, you know what I mean, the front
CAA
office
and all of that stuff.
CAA, Leon Rose, like obviously Leon Rose, the relationship with CAA is different than a different team's front office with an organization. You know what I mean? Maybe other than Lakers and Clutch, where you know what I mean, they kind of are working together more than other teams. So
Yeah. I mean, I can see Randle working with CAA in the front office, right? I mean, I think that Randle cares about his legacy in New York. I really do. I think he cares about his legacy in New York. I think he does want to, prove as much to the fans, that he cares about it as much as possible. So I could see him really working with CAA with the Knicks, to figure out the best solution, because I think, Randle had 2 years where the fans just hated him. And because of those 2 seasons, some fans still hate him now. And I think Randle cares about that. You know what I mean? And, the guy's got money, obviously. Who knows what his financial situation is, but he's got money and all that kind of stuff. So I do think he cares about it, and it would factor in. I don't think it's not going to be the determinant factor. You know what I'm saying? His financial situation is going to be the determining factor. And obviously, all right, let me ask you this. But, I mean, to answer that, yeah, I think he'll work with CAA in the front office. I think he will. But when you talk about Julius Randle, is he as valuable to any other team in the league as he is to the Knicks? Let me say that. Right? Because sometimes you have players like because of the of Tom Thibodeau's style, he's obviously ascended as a player. He fits, and he's as valuable to the Knicks as Giannis is to Milwaukee, in my opinion. Right?
Yes,
To the Knicks.
yes.
To the Knicks.
Yes,
Right? To
yes.
the Knicks. I'm not saying any other team, but to the New York Knicks, he's that valuable to the New York Knicks.
That's exactly how I was going to answer your question.
Right? So would he get that same amount of money on the open market? Would teams value he's going to get more? I think he'd get more money with the Knicks than any other team, because they may not value him the same because of fit and those type of things, and culture and all of that. Because I may not work with those other teams.
I agree with you 100% as far as his value. His value, and it's 2 different questions. His value to the Knicks compared to him. All right, let me rephrase that. His trade value and his open market value are 2 different things. Like, can we agree with that?
Right.
Like, I mean, the open market is, you know what I mean, cap space available. How much is a team willing to pay him? Right. And then his trade value is something different. But even from the Knicks' perspective, if the Knicks are going to trade Randle, it's only going to be for upgrade, right? So the select few of players that they're going to trade him for are going to be better than Randle. And you know what I mean? Whether it's Giannis, like you mentioned, and B, I think there's only a select few players where you're gonna accept that trade for Randle, right? Player for player. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're talking about a lesser player and then a mountain of, trade assets to accompany.
Right.
But so then the other question is open market as a free agent. Are the Knicks? Is his offer? Is he going to get a higher offer from another team as a free agent than the Knicks are willing to pay him to retain him? You know what I mean? So that's another question in itself, and a lot of things have to go into place with that. The teams have to be they have to have enough cap space to sign him. You know what I mean? To be able to sign him. The Knicks will probably have some type of bird right where they're able to go over whatever the cap space, whatever the allowed cap space is to re-sign him. So it's different scenarios. But ultimately, his value to the Knicks is always going to be higher to the Knicks than it is any other scenario.
Right.
If you're trading him for a Giannis, they're not saying we want.
It's not going to be.
You know what I mean?
It's not going to be Randle for Giannis straight up.
Exactly. It's going to be Randle's a good piece, but we need this and this and this plus. You know what I mean? It's going to be him plus.
Right.
So, but I don't see the Knicks. It's a very, let's say it's 6 people, 5 people. I think that's better than Randle. That one-on-one is it's an upgrade. It's probably a smaller list, maybe 2, 3 people that I think might not be a better player, but might be a better fit. And but even in that, it has to be the fit plus the assets along with that guy. You know what I mean? So even that is so ultimately I'm saying in the whole league, whether it's player better than him or player that fits better plus assets, it's probably it's less than 10 scenarios that I can see that happening with.
Okay. So what kind of situation does that put the Knicks in? Because now because now you're like, we have to sign him. We have to sign him to what he's worth for this team. I mean, that's what you did to Josh Hart, right? You signed him for what he was worth for the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? With Brunson, this contract extension, maybe he's worth more, but he's going to get paid that with the next one. You know what I mean? I think it does put the Knicks in a little bit of a conundrum with Julius Randle. And maybe this is what, the whole waiting game is about, right? Ian Begley reported a week ago, or whatever it was, that they're not, maybe 2 weeks ago, that neither side is in a rush. And I guess that makes sense for Randle, and it makes sense for the Knicks, right?
They both know they're in a good situation where Randle, you know what I mean? Like, they're both in the same situation. You know what I mean? Like, they need each other. like, because Randle, even if you saying open market, you gotta factor in teams have to have the money available. You know what I mean? So that takes away who has the money to sign them, and you know what I mean, and want them. Don't and have the need. Don't have a guy at that position. You know what I mean? Like, so it's and then the same thing with the Knicks. Like, when you're trading him, you don't want to get a lesser player,
right?
Just to move him,
right? Yeah. I got Lauren from Cali on the line, but I'm gonna get to you in a second, Lauren. I want to talk about this article real quick, and then I'll get to Lauren, then I'll talk about the article. All right,
give me 1 second.
Let's do that. Lauren, what's popping with you, bro? How you feeling?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good, man. Good. I've been getting some rest. I've been getting some rest over the past few weeks. I've been getting some rest, but I'm chilling. I feel good.
Last time I was hearing you talking about you hooping and you about to drop some bodies on the court. That's what I heard.
I'm telling you right now, if Big Bubba if Big Bubba is trying to get on the court, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna have him on roller skates the entire game.
I feel it. Bubba, I don't know who you are, but watch out, man. It's a warning.
He's in trouble. I'm in shape. I feel good. I'll be at the court 2:30 in the morning, running sprints, doing all kinds of stuff. Like, I feel like I could go play in the G League right now.
You trying to replace Randle? What's good?
Trying to replace Brunson. No,
Hey.
it's like, let me stop.
I'll feel it. No, but I've come to think about it. I don't think the Knicks make sense without Randle anymore. Like, I feel like he just has to, a championship without Julius Randle no longer feels okay. Like, he's given enough to the franchise where we actually need him to be on the team going forward.
Right.
Now, the money plays a part. You mentioned Josh Hart. We paid him what he's worth to the Knicks, but there's a limit. That's $20 million. That's different from 50 plus.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? And it seems like Julius Randle and Brandon Ingram are kind of in the same situation where, independent of the system, they can get their buckets and they can do their thing, right? But their teams and other teams are looking at them like, okay, if I'm a contender, how exactly does this person fit this roster at their pay rate? Right now, we saw Julius Randle, that January stretch, it was just beautiful basketball, and he played along. He was more of a willing passer. But then we talking about $50-something million. You know what I mean? That's where it starts getting sticky. I hope he takes a pay cut to stay with the team, but then again, I don't want a man to not get his money. If you got money, go get the money.
Right.
Then there's the who's going to give him the money.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like both the Knicks and Julius Randle are basically waiting for each other to agree on a number. You know?
I mean, you know, it's just a difficult kind of a difficult situation because Randle deserves the money that he's capable of getting.
Demanding.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA player. You know, the Knicks haven't advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals, but if OG and Randle was playing last year, I'm positive they would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals.
100%. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he deserves that money.
And just another thing that I think gets swept under the rug too much. I don't think people remember what Julius Randle was when he came into the league. He was a good player, but that time with the Mamba in Los Angeles and what he took from that and the body transformation and the game transformation and what his teammates have said his reputation is of, like, hard work, you can't sweep that under the rug like it's nothing. Like, I keep hearing people mention players who are better than him on paper.
Right.
That on paper stuff doesn't necessarily mean you bring him onto the team and it's going to help the Knicks win games.
Right.
You know, Randle has shown he is committed to the good and the bad, being stubborn enough to be an asshole. Oh, just my bad, a-hole on the court. Like, he does what he needs to do to be as aggressive as possible and just be his best self, at least on one side of the court. Does it always work in our favor? Sometimes no, a lot of times yes. And that January stretch showed a lot of times yes if he's healthy. You know what I mean? So I feel like no matter how frustrating some things he does can get, folks are starting to take him for granted a little too much. Like, that's a baller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a hooper.
Yeah.
We just got to find that number.
Yeah. He's a hooper, and he brings in a mentality that has helped to build the culture of this basketball team.
Hey, Lauren, I just want to say I'm proud of you, bro.
Come on, don't do me like this.
No, I'm being genuine, man. Like, this is a sign of growth. Like, I can hear
growth.
Yeah, man. Listen. You want him on the team. That's a sign of growth, man.
I've always wanted Randle on the team. I haven't wanted it to be played a certain way on the team. You know what I mean? I never liked, because I feel like sometimes the way Tibbs played him, he forced Julius Randle into his flaws. Like, he's not that great of a ball handler, so why are you playing him ISO so much? You know what I mean? But I've never not wanted Randle on the team. We've got to figure out how to get the best out of all these players on the roster. And we showed, again, that January stretch showed, okay, once we moved RJ, it was less cluttered. We no longer had 3 lefties on the same starting 5. That was just ridiculous. Once we moved him, things got better. And so I never have not wanted Julius Randle on the team. It's just we can't let his flaws get in the way of how good we can be. And I never really blamed the flaws on him. It's like, okay, Tibbs, figure out how to get the best out of this guy without playing into his flaws. But I like Julius Randle. I got in an argument with somebody, and this may sound ridiculous. I called Jason Tatum Julius Randle with a little bit better handles because I don't really believe Tatum gets busy like folks say he gets busy. You know, and when I'm just gonna be honest, that's my perspective.
Lord, you in the sun too much. Or
Yeah.
Nah.
I don't know
That's
what
how
you
I
doing.
feel though.
I don't know what's in
Hey,
that Cali weed you smoking.
I had the Randall Brown argument a couple years ago, but I wasn't willing to go that far.
Here's what
come
I'm
on,
gonna say. This
man.
is why I say that, right? This is why I say that. And I'm gonna keep it simple. Obviously, when a player can get to their spots with their dribble, it just elevates them over a lot of players. Like when you can get to your spot with your dribble. So obviously, Jason Tatum has a better chance being way more productive than Julius Randle because he has a better handle. My point of bringing up Julius Randle with Jason Tatum is the gap is not as wide as folks think when it comes to how forceful, how Julius Randle uses his power to get to his goals and how Jason Tatum does. Because in my perspective, Jason Tatum is a player who doesn't use his dribble well enough to open, you know, to get to his spot. And then he's a terrible shot selector. So if he was on the Knicks, he will still probably put up numbers. But he's not doing what he's doing in Boston. Boston's system has given him a really good, you know, a really good cover to his flaws. There's a reason why he didn't get played with Steve Kerr. And Devin Booker's getting played over him. You know what I mean? And I don't want to go into this bunk stuff. It's just basically to show that my respect for Julius Randle is pretty high. It's just don't put him into his, you know, into positions that are going to let him, you know, maximize his flaws. But he's a great player in my perspective. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm rocking with
I do
you.
want to before I let you go though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand the whole thing with the lefties. I mean, I'm right-handed. I'm not left-handed, but everyone's you know, too many left-handed guys on the floor. I don't understand. I mean, if all five
bring that
guys
up
are
because
right-handed, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And I hear that
The
from
difference
pros,
is-
son.
The difference is both Julius Randle and RJ don't really have command of their dribble. And Tibbs' system, for 4 years straight, we've ranked like dead last in assists. So each player, when Julius Randle's on the court with Jalen Brunson and RJ, they're each creating their own shots by themselves. You know what I mean? And if they're all going the same direction, especially RJ and Randle, who don't really have good control over it, it's cluttered. You know what I mean? We don't really have that much space on the court. So once we moved RJ, and number one, OG not being that ball dominant, it obviously opened up the floor. But when they were all three on the floor playing lefty and two of them couldn't really control their dribble, it became a problem. If Jalen Brunson was playing with somebody like Harden and another lefty, Manu Ginobili, who actually have good control, it's not a problem. It's actually harder to defend more lefties on the court. It's just our situation specifically.
But what if
Randle
you
and
had?
RJ,
But what if you had
it's funny.
three righties that couldn't really control their dribble?
Then you would
And
see the same problem.
that's what you should have highlighted: the controlling of the dribble, not not being left-handed.
Usually, though, this is the thing, though. You typically, those who train with their right-handed players, I don't know why, they seem to have, they're more ambidextrous, like they can do more with both hands. Again, RJ and Randle specifically don't have control over the ball, dribbling-wise. So it became a glaring issue when all three of them were on the court. And they played in a system that was ISO dominant. You know what I mean? That was the problem. But it's not that, you know, they can't fit. If you have better ball controllers, 5 lefties is cool. You know what I mean? It was just our situation specifically.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's hard. It's a little tougher for right-handed players to defend left-handed players because you gotta, you know, you're so used to stopping somebody from going right.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is, you know, right now, you know, the Knicks are better constructed. So
Here's another thing I want to say before I leave, though.
all right.
'Cause I don't hear this talked about enough. No, but I'll go after this. I won't hold you for longer. I think our second best ISO player that isn't being mentioned enough going forward is Bridges. Like, I think a lot of people have the idea that maybe because of the pay or whatever the case may be, that it's going to be Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle doing a lot more of the shot creation. Because I keep hearing people say, if you don't have Julius Randle, you don't have anybody else that can create their own shot. I don't know if folks watch Bridges his entire career, but the dude can cook in ISO.
Okay. I mean,
You know what I mean? Like, he's pretty good in ISO.
yeah. I mean, and we'll get a chance to see how it's going to look with the Knicks too. You know what I mean? And probably a lot of people haven't had a chance to watch him as much because he hasn't been, noted for his ISO play. So people haven't really
Can
had
I
a chance
just
to watch.
add? His isolation is different. Like, if you go back to his isolation in Phoenix, he had two main guys that was in front of him. So those main guys got attention. They got double teams. So yeah, he's always going to be in ISO. When you moved him to Brooklyn, the isolation became less. He was the focal point. Now it became double teams. Now he starts to struggle a little bit more. Can he operate in isolation? Absolutely. You know what I mean? 100%. But you need two, you need three, you need as many of those guys as possible, along with the 3-and-D guys, the defensive guys, the role players, the utility guys. But the more guys you have that can operate in isolation, the better. The more guys you have that can generate a double team, which I think is the difference between a Mikal Bridges and a Julius Randle. Not saying Mikal won't. Julius Randle had the opportunity to command the defense for 3 years, 4 years, arguably. You know what I mean? He's more familiar with that. Teams are going to be still dead set on trying to stop him and Brunson before they dead set on trying to stop Mikal, which is going to make things easier for everybody, no matter what.
Yeah. That's facts.
All right, Lauren, I appreciate you, man.
No doubt, y'all. Stay up.
No doubt. Peace.
All right, man.
My man Lauren from Cali. Always good to hear from him. Tony, Ralph said, I've been here too long. I remember when Sim had no grades and Tony had finger waves.
I don't even remember having finger waves.
Right.
Like, I mean, I had a little bit of a hairline when I first started. That's a fact. It wasn't baldy every barber trick, but
so the article that I'm referring to is by Brian Toporek. Hopefully I said his name correctly, from Forbes magazine. He said if Randle follows Brunson's footsteps and takes a discount to stay with the Knicks, they could become a model of how to build around multiple stars under the NBA's new collective bargaining agreement. But if he bypasses an extension with the intention of testing free agency in 2025, he'll become one of the biggest test cases in the NBA. Yeah, I guess he would. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, the new CBA's restrictions factored into Brunson's decision to bypass free agency in 2025 and sign a 4-year, $156.5 million extension in August. He could have been eligible for a 5-year deal worth as much as $269.1 million in free agency, but he studied championship organizations and franchise stars to get a blueprint for MVP-level players who structured contracts to give their teams the best chance or the best chances at sustainable title runs. The Knicks are nearly, right now, $3.2 million above the first apron, which means they can't take back more than salary in a trade, right? They can't use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception and can't acquire a player through sign and trade. They're $7.6 million below the second apron, though, which means they are allowed to aggregate contracts in a trade. With their roster largely set, the second apron shouldn't be a concern this year, right? Because they got their money set for the most part this season.
So it says they can't use the taxpayer mid-level exception?
It says they can't use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception.
They got the taxpayer mid-level.
Right, exactly. All right. It would be next season if Randle declines his $30.9 million player option for the 2025-26 campaign in pursuit of a max contract, though. According to Fred Katz of The Athletic, signing Randle to a max extension would put the Knicks within $13 million of the second apron in 2025-2026 with only 10 players under contract. One workaround, which Katz proposed, would be to have Randle pick up his player option and then give him a 3-year extension off of that. The Knicks would be $9.5 million below the first apron and $21.5 million below the second apron next summer. So they'd still have plenty of flexibility to reshape their roster as needed. That would give them much of a break beyond. That wouldn't give them much of a break beyond 2025, 2026. So it would kind of cash strap them then. If Randle takes a well below max extension like Brunson, $10 million or more, less than his max per year, that might enable the Knicks to build around all four of him, Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges moving forward. The Villanova Knicks would be a model of how to construct super teams under the new CBA. And this could be it. It could be Randle waiting until the summer, opting out of his contract, signing an extension for less than the max, which gives the Knicks the flexibility that they need to move forward. Maybe that's the idea.
And that's kind of what I was saying. But what you read gave me even more insight, because less than the max in 2 years would still be more, you know what I mean, more than, because the CBA goes up.
Right.
So less than the max in 2 years would still be a large portion. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So I mean, it would be the discount. Like, you get the love for the discount, but it's still like an astronomical amount of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's more than that 181 that he could sign right now.
Exactly. I
you
think they
like,
said what he's saying there, what it would be. The max then, well, it doesn't say what the max then would be. It doesn't say what it could be.
But over a 10-year vet, 35%.
Right.
Of the salary cap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
And I don't know what what year is that? 2 years from now would be.
Well, he can opt out at the end of next season. So that's 2025. So then that contract extension would begin.
No, I'm saying if he opted in.
If he opted in next year, all right. So if he opted in and then got an extension off of that, the extension would begin the 26-27 season.
And what year is Brunson eligible to opt out?
Let's see. Brunson is eligible to opt out in 27-28.
So it would be the next year.
Right.
He can opt out. Which, again, the salary cap goes up. You could potentially still have two guys at that 35%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be something. But the Knicks, they may have a chance to build that super team in another manner. Maybe they've figured it out, and teams are watching, looking at the blueprint being set. Caller, got my man Tyrone on the line. What's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Man, listen. Finally, Evergreen G has come back to set things right. That's what I'm here for. Why y'all be having all of this smoke for teams that they whole starting five is full of people with right hands, yo?
Evergreen,
what
you left-handed. Evergreen must be left-handed.
What are we doing? Don't nobody say nothing about the Lakers. Don't nobody say nothing about Atlanta. Don't nobody say nothing about Dallas. Don't nobody say nothing about none of these teams where everybody on their starting five is all right-handed. But as soon as it comes down to start dealing with the Knicks, we're going to bring up old players that's not on the team anymore with Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett with his left hand. He don't even play for the team no more. Why are we talking about this guy? Right? We got Jalen Brunson's a left-hander, Julius Randle's a left-hander. Keep it moving. You'd be hard-pressed to find 5 teams in the league right now out of 30 that you got more than 2 players on their team with left-handed that start with left-handed. So why is this a big deal right now? Listen, man, I got to come back to said law and order and bring back this standard of logic. Some of these callers calling up here, I don't know how long. I've been around listening. I kept my mouth shut. But this left-handed narrative is retarded, Tim. And I'm surprised y'all even let the narrative go through, man. What we doing up here?
Evergreen.
What we doing? Nothing but Knicks?
I've heard
I
pros.
said something to him about it.
I heard pros talking about it. Professional
Listen.
athletes saying the same thing. So
Listen.
I don't agree. I'm left-handed myself, but you know what I mean. I don't agree, but I've heard it from the pros. So it got to be something about it.
It's like all of a sudden everybody runs a pick and roll from the left hand side now. Is that what we're saying? Everybody in the league is doing that, or everybody's picking up on it. Nobody's running pick and rolls to the right no more. This doesn't make any sense, guys. And we can't keep entertaining the silly, nonsensical, illogical narrative that we're letting propagate in this Knicks media space. We gotta set it straight. Don't worry, guys. Evergreen G is back, right? I'm back. We're gonna set some stuff straight. We're gonna clear the air. I want smoke with everybody because none of y'all are making sense. Not y'all on the panel right now, but the callers. We gotta set law and order. I'm back. We're gonna keep it funky like that. What's poppin', MBK family? It's good to see y'all. It's good to hear from y'all. I hope all is well. But I had to come on the live with fire and brimstone. We got to make sense.
All right.
We got to make sense.
No doubt. All right. Well, like Harlem CEO says, we have more lefties now than before. So.
Okay. We have at one point we had 4 lefties, 5 lefties. Four right-handed players. Nobody was complaining then. Oh man, we ain't got nobody in it. We ain't got no centers on a team that got a left hand. Nobody was complaining about that. Nobody was saying, "Oh man, everybody's going right." Nobody's complaining about that. But now that things are switching up and we go the other way. Oh, we got 2 minutes. Come on, guys. So what? Play ball. Get off the screen. High screen pick and roll. Drop to the basket. Run the rim. Basic basketball stuff. It don't matter what side you play for. And in fact, everybody should be dealing with ambidextrous in the NBA anyway, right? Come on now. You should be able to do a layup with your right hand, a jump shot with your right hand, a layup with your left hand, a jump shot with your left hand.
You should be able to, but
there's a dominant side of this.
Yeah,
this is basketball.
I guess you should be able to, but some players are just, I don't know. Latrell Sprewell didn't have no left hand. He was all right. He did everything right.
But was anybody complaining? Was anybody like, oh man, it's too many. Right, Allen Houston's. Nobody was complaining about too many right-handed players. Nobody. That's never happened until this is historically the most silly argument any Knicks fan has ever made up ever. You got 2 of the hands. Nobody complained when everybody's shooting right-handed jump shots and right-handed layups and driving to the right. Nobody said anything when Elfrid Payton was going the same way all season. And that's your guy. That's your best friend, Sim.
Hey,
nobody was complaining about that guy.
I ain't complaining about no left-handed players.
It's too many on the team right now. We don't know. He's clogging up the left-hand side because Jalen Brunson. Come on, guys. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, Evergreen. I appreciate it, man.
Peace.
I'm
back in town, baby. I'm back in town. So we setting all the stuff straight.
No doubt. We out. Peace.
Hey, Sim, you're gonna have to clip that up and label it that went left quick.
Something. You know what? I don't think that Julius Randle. I don't think he's signing an extension in August. Right? You know what I mean? I think it's gonna be. I think it'll be a while. As a matter of fact, they might even settle in and just say, "Let's play the season and see how it works," and go from there. Both sides probably just cool with that. Randle knows. He's coming off a shoulder injury. The Knicks know he's coming off of a shoulder injury. So there's going to be question marks there. You know what I mean? Randall's probably going to bet on himself. Like, oh, you know what? I feel good. I feel healthy. I'm coming in I'm going to show you that I'm worth whatever the money is.
And as bad as people want to highlight, as bad as Randle has played in the playoffs, I'm sure he feels like I could play better than I've played in the playoffs.
Exactly.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm sure he feels that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure he probably feels like, let me get out there. I'm gonna elevate my status. Let me elevate my status again, and then now that's really gonna put pressure that's going to put pressure on you to have to sign me, to have to give me my money. You know what I mean? So anyway, we'll see what it is, man. Ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to come on and talk about that. All right, Jay Boogie in the building said this is what happens when people can't figure out something to do for summer vacation. Man, summer vacation is over. It's back. The business, man. School's going to be starting in a couple of weeks. It's back to business. Trying to get moving. Giants playing on Thursday. Preseason versus the Lions. It's time to get back to business.
Yeah, shout out to Jarrell. Check out the Giants channel.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Go check it out. But any last words, Tony, before we get out of here?
Nah, man, this was fun, man. You came on my show earlier. Anybody who didn't see Knicks and Bruises earlier, go check that out. But yeah, thank you, man. I'm glad you back. I'm glad I'm back.
Yeah.
This season's about to be upon us, man. Like let's get this thing rocking and going.
No doubt.
It's still Knicks and Bruises, but now we giving them to the other teams now. You know what I mean?
All right.
But we out here.
Word. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Appreciate your time. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.